But since I do have
Nice.
some Australians with me, I might as well ask this question. What's your take on drinking alcohol when doing night game? And do you drink alcohol? Fight for it.
Okay.
You're Australians.
All right, I'll go
That
for it.
awkward silence just told you everything.
Everyone's too drunk. No, I look, the way I see it is alcohol is a tool that some guys might want to use when they're gaming. But if you gotta be very careful how you are using it, because the way I see it, it can be performance enhancing. Like if you're a very anxious, nervous guy that has a lot of like fucking social anxiety that's like limiting you, then having some drinks removes some of that inhibition, right? So you can now maybe approach a girl, you can say some, you were talking about filters before. So maybe you're running out of things to say, you have a couple of drinks, you get a bit of a buzz. Now that weird, awkward thing that you thought was too weird and awkward, now you just say it, and maybe it's funny, or maybe it's like confident, or maybe it just sparks a conversation. So it can be really good. But the issue with that is guys usually don't stop at 2 or 3 drinks or when they start feeling good. They usually keep drinking and keep drinking. So the game gets better, but then it crashes and gets really bad. And I see this in students where they're having like fun conversation, but now they're just rowdy. Okay. Now they're like knocking drinks over, they're falling over themselves, they're saying like weird shit to girls. And honestly, it's just fucking disgusting. Like I don't drink anymore when I go out, and like seeing people at clubs now, like especially when I'm coaching and they're just dry, it looks awful. So my advice to students is try get to the point where even having 2 drinks makes your game worse. And what I mean by that is you should get to the point where you feel so confident that your inhibitions are gone that drinking actually just makes you like a little bit more difficult to think or come up with a quick response or be a little bit more witty, which is I feel at the point I'm at. I feel like I'm better without alcohol. And so if you are that student that is having like fucking 10 beers a night or some shit, and you're just getting drunk and you're ratty, or you're depending on it. So it's like you're going out every night and you're needing 3 or 4 drinks. It's really shitty for your health. I think it's Human Lab is suggesting like no more than 2 drinks a week, which is not many at all. So yeah, if you're that guy, start cutting it down. If you're having like 8 beers, take it to 7, do that for a week, take it to 6, get it to the point where you're only needing 1 or 2. And then eventually, if you want, stop drinking. Because yeah, I think overall it is bad for your game. I think overall, even if you're the guy that manages to get laid that one night because you're super drunk and you're fun and you're like, what happens when it's the next date? Are you just going to get drunk around this girl again, or the third date, or the fourth date? You just can't become an alcoholic for the sake of women. So yeah, my advice would be cut the drinking, get to the point where you're not drinking at all, don't rely on it. But I can understand for some guys how it can help in the beginning stages.
That reminds me of when I was younger, I used to have alcohol and energy drinks at the same time. I would just pour
Mhm.
some fucking Monster cans into a drink and add vodka to it, or tequila or rum, whatever the fuck, and just go fucking crazy. That was how I fucking did it for a good few years.
Yeah. Lead to liver failure. That little combination. Dangerous.
Not yet, hopefully. But I did quit alcohol. What year is it now? 5 years ago almost. Last alcoholic drink I ever had was on my wedding day, and of course it was a glass of champagne. And for me, the mentality was, okay, that could very easily be my last ever one, and I'll be perfectly happy. And I come from a bit of a drinking culture, like I'm sure the rest of you do. Um, and we uh I guess from my life, or what my culture is like, you can even, it's okay to have a little bit of alcohol when you're like 5 years old. That's just something we do. That's why we end up a
Mhm.
bit retarded, I guess. But what the fuck am I talking about? But it's such a society, huge thing in society. But apparently, there were some stats showing that the trend is that more people are giving it up. It is going down, and more people are interested in sober dates. But yeah, I just stopped alcohol completely, almost 5 years ago.
stuff.
Yeah, right. With alcohol and students, I always say don't need it and don't fear it. Manage it closely. It can be a little bit mentally stifling if you cut yourself off completely. So if I'm coaching a student in NICAM and he asks the question, I say don't have your first drink until after 11:30 or closer to midnight, so that way you don't get carried away, because yeah, you can get a little bit sloppy. I for one don't drink anymore. I would actually recommend drinking on dates. You know, pour 2 glasses of wine, drink at the after party, drink in the end game stages of things, but don't need it. Don't fear it. It's super bad for you altogether. It's fun when you're young. It's kind of formative. Some guys who are really stifled, it can be good to drink, to explore yourself when you're a little drunk, to see what happens. Guys who are not good at going out, but yeah, just take it lightly.
I like that. Don't need it, don't fear it. That's really good.
That's the one.
Because that's the thing. Yeah, you can be one-sided. Just be like, no, I can't touch it. I mean, when you're doing like
Have you
you're
heard
in
this?
business,
Have you heard this phrase? It's like, oh, I forgot what it is. Like, I love it. I love it so much I could never get addicted. Like people who love alcohol so much, they respect it. They'll have like 1 or 2 drinks a week or whatever. They love it so much they could never abuse it. There's a saying about it from Winston
Saying
Churchill,
for it.
but I forget. Sorry, man.
no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I think when I've been in rooms where you're with big boy business guys and you can't not drink. Like they won't allow you not to drink. They're like, you're drinking with us, and that's the thing. And because like in places like Singapore, they use that as part of the business transaction. And so because they're trying to get you drunk so that if you tell any sort of things that you slip up in any way or you're a bit more different as a personality. So sometimes when you said don't fear it, it's like you have to learn how to control yourself whilst being drunk too. Because in the rooms that I've been in, you have to stay sharp even when you're not exactly sharp. So you get good at that. I think yeah, that's perfect. I've never heard it so well explained. Don't need it, don't fear it. That's a really good way. And I think too that there's other ways like 50 Cent in his book Hustle Hard, Hustle Smart, I think it is.
Mhm.
He talks about like for him, he's a rapper and he's cognac brand is what his brand is, right? And same as Conor McGregor. Everyone thinks Conor McGregor's doing a lot of the drinking when he's pouring down his proper 12. A lot of the time it's ginger ale. They put in they have special bottles because 50 Cent was talking about when he would go to appearances, his ginger ale would be in his bottle specifically. So when he'd be pouring it, everyone would think it. He's not drinking because he knew that it was taking years off his life. It would take years down the track when you're 40 and 50. So he still wanted to be kicking it when he's 40 and 50 and be sharp and mentally there. So there's a point where you have to kind of, I guess, grow up a little bit and like, okay, well, I'm only going to drink when I celebrate, or I'm only going to drink when it's specific. But the occurrence, I know me and Marcus have a friend that every time has now really depended on it, which is such a shame. And we've definitely pushed him towards, I know, Marcus, you definitely have, where it's like, to go out and date sober, like push these people. If you have these people around or you yourself, you have to challenge yourself. And that's where that thing is like, maybe you don't need it. Maybe you can go out and start to explore this side of your personality because a lot of people that they drink, then their personality is linked to a chemical release in their body. So they can't be jovial. They can't be, a great one is Raj from Big Bang Theory. He can't speak to women and then he has alcohol and he's the life of the party. You don't want that life because that means that you're gonna have to, even when you're 75, are you gonna be like that? You're an old man and you can't now talk to people because you need alcohol. It's like, come on, you got to grow up sometime along the track. So I definitely recommend don't need it, don't fear it. Also, is such a good thing. Oh, such a good line.
Yeah, I just finished reading 50 Cent's book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
That was good, yeah.
Fantastic.
Very good.